What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Scott Boys, and welcome back to another Coast Days Invitational interview. This one, though, is a bit different to the other ones I've done. It's going to be the after-tournament interviews with, so when each team gets knocked out, I'm going to bring the captain on the show, basically talk to them about the tournament, how they thought their tournament went, and ask them if their opinions changed, and then ask them did they enjoy the tournament, and if they have something they'd like to see for next time round. So, first interview, as it says in it, I've got the Infernal Warriors captain. I've got Chris on the show. Welcome, Chris.
Yo.
So, Chris, first off, how you feeling after that tournament? How you feeling?
Okay.
I mean, you went into it nothing to lose, so let's be honest. So,
We went into it not caring if we won a game. We just wanted to at least practice, new team, new players, some people being like really new to the game.
okay.
So we just thought we need team chemistry. We hardly played together that much before the tournament. We hardly played during the together during the tournament. So we just thought we need to see what we can do, what we need to improve for the next tournament.
Okay. So, we're going to go through the tournament, basically how you did, and then we'll go through the other game that happened and ask for your opinion on that. So you started off against Integrity and you got 3-0'd. What was the kind of mentality behind, like, how was the team during that and after that?
So during that was when we first fully brought in our duo lane. And at the time, our mid laner hadn't played with them yet. Me and Randy had played with them a couple of games, and we went straight into the game. So it's probably like one of the first times Mandarin actually meeting our duo lane. So at first we're like, this is just a test to see how it is, see what we can do, like to see what our weaknesses, see what our strong points were. And after the game, we just thought, okay, so we know what we need to train, and we'll get to it, or get to starting.
Okay, so from your games against Integrity, game one being kind of a weird one, if I remember correctly, only you and Randy got any kills that game for your team.
Yeah.
And game two being basically game two was a much more close game, but Integrity kind of listened back and really went for more of a troll style of picks.
Yeah,
Was
they
there
went
anything?
for troll picks the last two games.
Was, as I'm saying, game 2 and 3, they leaned back and sort of went for more trolley picks. Was there anything from your team that you felt that, like, okay, that works really well in that set, and like, okay, that player did, or that area we did pretty well at?
Not particularly. We knew Randy did. Like, Randy did good. Like, I farmed pretty well, but then when it got to like them killing, they got far ahead, and then the rest of the team just fell behind due to them dying quite a lot and getting outplayed. And then the final game, the one where I first brought out Ao Kwong into a comp game, I felt like I did pretty well for like a first game. I got quite a few kills.
Okay. So, after that, the 3-0, this is not really a serious question. Are we going to be seeing any more Goobis solo come out of Randy?
But no.
Okay, so moving on to your 5th-6 match, which you had against Step to the Left. Now, this was a really close game, and everyone was, okay, look, kind of going, this might be the closest set of the entire tournament. Like, Step to the Left were confident they were going to win it. You guys thought you were going to win it.
We wanted to win it.
No, you thought you were going to win. That's what you said in your interview. You thought you were going to win 2-1.
Yeah.
Step to the Left said they were going to win 2-0 and 2-1, but most likely a 2-0. And basically all the other captains were split down the middle, and there was literally it was literally a 3-3. And I think Alpha's the only interview that didn't get done, so it was literally me and Vamp and you versus Sam, Alan, and Yanis on the other side. And 2-1. A 2-1 came out for Steps to the Left. What was your thoughts on that set? Talk us through the entire set and how you were feeling.
So game one, we were, let's say, we weren't feeling too like cocky. We kind of, by cocky I mean like we thought like we could win it if we did certain plays, like if we did decently, like if we got Randy ahead. When Randy brought out like the Pele, we thought we'd do ahead, just due to the fact that during casual Randy always gets really far ahead as Pele. And then it didn't go so well due to our duo lane falling quite far behind and Mandarin falling behind as well.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like, no matter, like, Randy did get quite far ahead, but their duo lane matched that. You get what I mean? In like lead.
Yeah, no, that was the issue. It's like the first game where our duo lane actually played against like weird duo lanes. Like we were always saying like, oh, they're not as good as the last opponents, blah blah blah. And then obviously Mandarin thought he would win, but he got a bit too out of it when he chose his god. And the duo lane just picked what they hoped they could do well with, and yeah, it wasn't as good.
So that's what happened in
then,
game 1, yeah?
Yeah, then game 2, we changed up strategies. So instead of me doing like pure farming, trying to help Mandarin and Randy out a lot more, I was meant to farm and then baby duo lane. Like get as many kills duo lane as possible and try and make it so they don't get too far behind. We didn't care if they were 1 or 2 levels behind at this point. We thought that would be an achievement to get that far. We just thought that we could do a lot better in the late game if we had more people at least at their level instead of 3 versus 5.
So there's actually something I want to pick up on this game. This game was really back and forth. Like it was literally like you guys had control, they had control, and you had control, and you guys didn't give up that control after you got it back. What was the thoughts when the game started going against you?
We were at first we were thinking like, okay, they're catching up. This isn't good. But Randy was obviously motivated to win in the game, which was helping me get motivated. Mandarin felt like he was having a better game than he did game 1, and the duo lane mostly close to being on par level. They were at least just like 1 level behind or something. So we were thinking, okay, so if we need to at least do this, do that to give us a fighting chance, then we got this, got that, which pulled us back ahead to the point where we were just thinking, okay, now we have to do everything on our power to keep it. So we just played as best as we could. We tried doing as many decent plays as possible, and we ended up winning it thanks to Randy's RTO, my rat, and Mandarin's Morgan.
So this is more of a...
There was at least, in my opinion, from our perspective, there was at least 2 team fights where we won it somewhat due to our ADC's ults. Like, we killed quite a few people who were frozen thanks to his ults in team fights, but for other people's point of views, supposedly he did nothing, and he didn't help us out during that fight.
Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion on impacts as well. Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just stating that my opinion for that game was that he had some really good ults, and
now
some of the team fights we won were due to him hitting some people with his ults.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions to follow up on this. I'll put one that actually is relevant to this one first. A lot of people are under the impression that that game was your team was dragged through it by your solo laner. Is that a thing that you can see where people are coming from, or do you just totally disagree with it?
See, I don't totally disagree with it. It was thanks to Randy that we got back into the game. But then after we got back into the game, so we got the power, it's then started being like I started playing better. I started getting kills, catching people out. Mandarin started playing better, catching people out. And then Randy would come, stun people to the point where a team fight had started until all of us getting kills. So I feel like Randy helped us catch back up. Like he gave us ideas to do this, and he helped us get a few kills. And then after when we got the lead again, I feel that it was due to me, Mandarin, and some ults from Fraser. Ed was there for the supporting needs in case Mandarin or Fraser died, and Randy was obviously there in the back lines with me, just doing what we could do to kill everyone.
Okay, so this is more of a light-hearted question. Has your team got a hype man on it? Like, is there someone that will like pop off in comms on your team?
Yes.
Carry on a bit more, please.
So, I'm going to put this in a scenario of a team fight.
If you can remember the team fight that actually happened, tell us the team fight that actually happened in. If you can remember, basically.
I can't remember the whole team fight, but all I know is that we got an objective from it, we got a team kill, and then all of us ended up chucking our controllers on the floor and mics off because we had a solo laner who was screaming, "Get fucking in there! That's how we fucking do it!"
Okay.
To the point where most of our ears were bleeding.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so game three happened, and you guys had a fantastic start. How were you feeling?
We were feeling very confident. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel like that is probably why we ended up making the mistakes at the end game. Because during the game, we were like, we've won a game, we can do this, we can win. We were getting ahead, we were getting further ahead, we were getting very confident with how we were playing, to the point where we were feeling a bit cocky. We were like thinking like, oh, we've won this, we've won this. Even in comms, even though comms was on, at some points Randy would state, or I would state, or Man would state, easy win, we've got this, boys. We just need to push through, carry on playing as well as we're doing now. We proved it in game 2 that we can win a game. Now let's prove it that we can win the set. And then it got to the end game where like we started making the 40 mistakes, which then made it to where we ended up losing.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question because I like to speak to players after the games, like to just like basically get a feeling of how things were going during the game and stuff like that. I was speaking to Randy, and he stated something. I'm going to ask you this question if you agree with it. He said that going into that game and even after that game, he still believes that against Infernal Warriors versus Step to the Left, the result will always come down to how well you guys play. Doesn't matter how Step to the Left play.
See, I'm gonna be honest and say this, yeah? When he first started saying that, I had no clue what he meant. And then when it came to game 2, where we played like probably our best, because I popped off, Randy popped off, Mandarin popped off, Fraser and Eddie were like almost on par, and we won it. And then obviously when we're playing our best, it was like we did well. And then when we made mistakes, all of us made the mistakes, we lost the game. So I started to see some sense in what he was saying, but there are times where I could say that we lost some team fights due to them outplaying us, and then there's other team fights where we lost due to us not calling out what relics we had, or us not calling out what movesets we had.
However, I'll counter that. That doesn't go off what he said, though, Chris.
Okay.
He said,
could you?
he said, if you lose, that you will win the game, not win a fight. Win the game of how well you play.
No, but then
if you're stating you lose some team fights, but then lose like others due to this, it's not basically them completely outplaying you. It's down to how you're playing again. So
Yeah, so yeah,
you're saying you
it makes
disagree. You're saying you disagree with it by saying you agree with it.
well, no, I agree with it.
Yeah, that's basically what you just said.
Okay, well, what I'm thinking in my head is that I agree with it.
Okay. So, okay, so that's when obviously you said basically how you felt when you leading up to the loss. How was it like after you lost the game?
So, well, me and Randy got to talking. We were deciding on stuff we were gonna do, and then we
No,
decided
oh,
that we were going
wait.
to.
I'm talking about comms like right after the end. The minute the Titan dies, what happens? What's the atmosphere like after the minute the Titan falls?
Cheerful.
Oh, okay. Explain more.
Like Randy was always like, don't worry guys, like there's always next time. We played well. Ed and Fraser were like laughing, saying like, oh, we that's bad luck, boys. Maybe next time. And Mandarin obviously was a bit disappointed in himself, and I was slightly disappointed myself. But then we were more cheerful during the comms because obviously the mood wasn't depressed. Like the mood was one of those joyful moods that when you join this mood, you are happy. And then when everyone started to leave, so like when Ed left, when Randy left, when Fraser left, me and Mandarin's mood went from happy to slightly depressed, talking down on ourselves like, fuck man, we should have lost that game. We made too many mistakes at the end that caused us the loss.
You mean should have won that game? That's what you mean. Not should have lost that game.
Yeah.
That is me. Okay, so obviously you were saying about how you and Randy were planning to do stuff and stuff like that. So basically, your columns are still your like team atmosphere is still good. Basically, is what you're trying to say.
Yes and no. Like we're setting up stuff to do like team talks so that we can actually discuss what we need to do. Me and Mandarin play as much as we can, but right now, obviously, I haven't been on Smite for a bit. Mandarin's been on Battlefield 5. Randy's been busy with work, and Eddie and Fraser have been busy with Christmas. So right now, it's more of the fact that we're just enjoying Christmas, taking a break while the tournament goes on.
But that's once again you've gone off the question I asked. The atmosphere is good though. It's like the actual team atmosphere is still good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting to see any roster changes for next time. You're gonna hopefully come in with the same roster for next time.
Depends.
Oh. I'm not going to go any further because I know exactly what you're on about, and it's not. This is not the show to talk about it.
Oh no, that's not the only thing I was going on about. But yeah, okay.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask your opinion on the other set that happened, the 3-0 between Team Tug and Step to the Left. Just a quick opinion. What was your opinion on that game?
If I'm being honest, like there were some people saying like from like when my team was watching it, and by my team I don't mean Ryan, I mean like me, Fraser, Mandarin, and also our support.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were saying like, oh, you can already tell who's winning, blah 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 blah, and I was just thinking, not really. Like from this side, from what we can see, from what we were watching, yes, it did look like Dean had the advantage against Sam, but it didn't look like Sam's team was out for the count. It looked like they still had a lot of fight in them. And then obviously later on it got to the point where it's like you could see more advantage from Dean's team, but it's like game 2 for my scrim. Both teams still had fight in them to the point where at the end game neither team should really feel down on the win or loss.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Good idea. So overall, basically, did you enjoy the tournament? Basically, not having a you had to organise at times, but being told, okay, you're playing that team. Did you enjoy that sort of method? Like, okay, play that team, and you're basically aiming for something. It was more than just okay, we want to scrim. Okay, no, we are better than you. This tournament seeding says we are better than you. That's what you were aiming for. Did you enjoy that?
If I'm being honest, and you'd know because I did kind of say this to you at some point, but then I understood your reasonings behind making it this way. What I kind of wanted was to be able to play every team like multiple times, like the football seasons or how we done 1v1 leagues back in the day.
Hmm.
But then when you started to explain the reasonings behind why you set this up in this way, I started to understand why, and yeah, it was a good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay, and obviously you said what you wish for, but I'm gonna add this on. Is there something reasonable, something that I could actually do? Obviously, I've explained the thing you were talking about just then, that why I can't do that. Is something that you change for next time? Is like a little a tweak you'd do that is reasonable.
Mm, honestly, wouldn't know. Like, I guess there's some things where you could put some rules in, but then some rules could be too broken. Some rules could be like too unfair for some teams and not for others.
Hmm.
So it just gets to the point where there's not really much you can change unless you can do a different format of how you can do where you could try and like get each team to play against each other. There's not
That's
really
not
much you can really change.
okay. Perfect. Right. Anyway, Chris, any shout outs you'd like to give before I let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my team. I love you guys.
Fair.
GG.
And yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for joining me, Chris. Hope to see you
Thank
guys
you.
next. Hope to see Infernal Warriors in whatever state you're in for the next tournament. Which announcements will be coming up for the next tournament after this one's finished. Um, Already in the works of planning that one out. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I guess see you guys next time. Bye, guys. Bye.